Welcome to another episode of Dr. Kamini Rao's Masterclass. Yes, you guessed me right, another guest, a unique guest, and none other than a social entrepreneur, yes, a multifaceted entrepreneur, a person who has been teaching in every sort of way to the youngsters and the old alike. You may say, what is this teaching? Whether it is in the reduction of carbon footprints, or it is in the education part or midday meals. Where does all this come? This is a bundle of energy, and this person is none other than Dr. Tejaswini Ananth Kumar. Yes, you've heard me right. She is the wife of Shri Ananth Kumar ji, our own MP from Karnataka and a cabinet minister who passed away recently. Welcome to the show, Dr. Tejaswini Ananth Kumar.
Thank you.
I've heard so much about you, Dr. Tejaswini, but the one thing that I've always imagined that whoever is a politician's wife, they're always known to be sitting down and being or basking in the glory of their husband, but I've never actually put you in that category at all. From the very humble beginnings, you being an engineer, and you've carved a kind of niche for yourself, I just wanted to get the viewers to know a little bit of your younger days, your education, how did you come up, who was your influences? Can you just give a little background to that?
Yeah, I'm really privileged to be here with such a wonderful person, Dr. Kamini Rao's masterclass program. I'm so happy to be here and share my some of the things of my life story. In fact, I've studied in rural areas of North Karnataka. Probably it has added a lot of things which normally people don't get to know about all these things, because in those places like where I did my schooling, there was not even high school in that area, and other children come from a very different background, and typically farmers children, they never used to come to school in time. Many a times we used to, along with the teacher, we used to help the teacher go to their houses, literally pull them to the school, and even there was no bench to sit, so we have to clean the floor, so they used to mark the classroom, yeah, and use the cow dung to do it. And in our house, because my father was a engineer in irrigation department, in fact somebody used to come and work in my house, but in school it was very difficult to touch the cow dung and do it, and I used to do the homework of other children and give this work to them and manage, and that's my schooling. And because of probably less children in the school, the teachers also used to give a lot of attention, probably that built confidence probably in me. But when after, like for high school, we moved to Hubli, so my father decided that we should have a house so that children can go to school. So my mother and we 4 children, we started living in Hubli, and I completed my high school, and then I had interest in science, especially the electronic subject. You know, that time it was new, the electrons, protons, whatever they taught me in the school. So one side I wanted to become an electronics engineer, other side wanted to do something for the nation, because that was the time when there was an emergency in the country. So somewhere in 76, 77, I was in 7th, 8th standard. I was seeing some youngsters joining this movement of Jayaprakash Narayan. I used to read it in paper. Some of our relatives also were there. They were jailed. All that we used to read in newspaper or talk in the family. So I wanted to do something for the nation. Then I thought I should join army or join Air Force, something, all those dreams like many children, even I had. Then I joined the science college. Coming from Kannada medium, it was difficult to cope up, but Managed because I wanted to become an engineer. Probably, my sister is the first graduate in the family. My elder sister. Till then, no one went even to college in my family, and doing an engineering was something different. Like any other student, I wanted to do something different. I joined engineering. Same time I met a couple of Vidyarthi Parishad activists. So I thought that's one area where I can, being a student, while pursuing my education, I can still do something for the society, some work for the nation. So I joined Akhila Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad.
That's a student organization.
That's the
single largest organization.
Yeah, single largest student organization.
So did you get your sort of political bearings at that point of time? Political, not in the political sense, but the fact that you got people together and as a group you could do something. Because one person can only do this much, but as a group you can do so much more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, one person literally in those times, now today because of social media, at least you can give your voice, even as one person we can really do something. But those days the communication as such was, it was not much, so it was always a team. Even today that way, a team is very much required. If you want to bring a change in the society, or if you want to do something, you can't do alone, even now or then, and raise your voice, speak about it. So that time it was against the donations and capitation in education. So we had organized a big fight against capitation in education and all that, and that's those days when there was a reservation quota in for merit students in engineering and medicine. It started and they structured it, CET came, and those times where I was actively involved in Vidyarthi Parishad.
It's really good because what happens, you were able to see the rural side of life, sitting on the ground and learning, so you knew that part, the grassroots parts and the problems that people faced, and then you were also into these kind of andolans, so you saw that part of the life. So the entire spectrum you were able to sort of feel because you were part of it. Many people who sit in metros and then they stand and then they use a loudspeaker and say, I'll do this, I'll do that, to a person who's actually been in those situations, there's a lot of difference. So when I see you doing a lot of things, I've seen that projects that you take up, you research a lot on these projects. And one such project that I have actually been very, very impressed about is this midday meal project that you have done, and you are very well known for this project. And you also felt this Akshara scheme and the Pakshala and the Patshala, the Arogya and all that, and each of that has a lot of meaning and interactions with all of them. So can you explain this to us?
Yeah, the midday meal program is one program which literally changed my course of journey, I can say. Of course, my marriage and although I was in Vidyarthi Parishad doing some activity, do my bit for the, can call it as a kind of a social work. But being wife of a senior politician who can influence at state level, national level was something different. But still I never involved in his day-to-day work. My first 10 years, like as an engineer, I was busy with my own work and of course taking care of children. He was busy in his work. But when I left my job because of again to take care of the family, and when we started my trust called Adamya Chetana, and then started working with the children who needed support of the society. I learned so many things because our children go to different schools as our English medium schools, and it's a different kind. But then I realized the mathematics is the same, the mathematical formula is the same, the chemistry equation is the same, whether it is taught in Kannada medium or Hindi medium or English medium. So they have to appear the same examination. They have to face the same world. But the gap at the family level, gap at the school level is so huge. How can they compete with our children? was a big question mark, and it's not fair as what I thought. When we started going deeper, we realized the most important thing is food. At least one proper meal in the afternoon can really bring in a change, is what we were contemplating. I started this like feeding children once in a week to just one school. Children also used to wait for the Saturday, then every Saturday we used to cook in one of the houses. One of our volunteers used to cook for these children with the support of cooks and all that, and we used to take that food to that school. But it was very difficult. Somehow we didn't take it forward for a long
But did
period.
you find that the school dropouts used to be highest attendance on Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday they used to come. Literally, it was a half-day school. Earlier, children were not coming on Saturday at all. But
Now they started coming because of the food.
But then one thing we realized is, if we have to get into these areas, we have to do it very systematically in a consistent way, sustainable manner. Cooking itself is an big, I don't call it as an art, it's an engineering. So I say cooking is not just art, it is cooking is an engineering.
So are you a good cook?
Whenever I want to be, I will. Otherwise, no. So if I follow all the right way, I will. That's what I always believe. If you do everything in a right way, the output has to be right. Why it will fail? So when I got married, I was literally not knowing anything in cooking. Literally making one simple rice and sambar was a big challenge for me. And but when we decided that when the midday meal was made mandatory, many schools said, if you support us in cooking, other things teachers said we take care, because this is one very difficult job many a times, because especially in our country, women take so much of take out time and spend so much time in the kitchen. So the cooking looks simple. But it has so many things in it. So teachers also realize that providing midday meal, which is nutritious, which is to be hygienic, most important, because these are all young children, and hot, and preparing it, and the money given by government is so less.
How much are they giving for a meal?
See, if you listen, it's not too old. It's just in 2003. It was decided that they'll spend 1 rupee and 100-gram rice. So 100-gram rice was given to us, which has to be cleaned twice and all that. For that there was no separate money given. And 1 rupee per meal. That 1 rupee includes the dal, the vegetables, and also the cooking charges. And if schools have to cook the meal, the salary to the cooks was only 700 rupees. Even then, per day, the cook used to charge 700 rupees. And I am talking about 1 month they were giving 700 rupees salary. And the cooks in Bengaluru are charging 700 per day. So teachers said, we can't manage, please help us. Other things we take care. We will do some extra classes, we are ready to do all that, whatever you say, but please, if you help us in preparing the meal. So we accepted that challenge. Literally a person who never knew how to cook for 2-3 people said, like I said, it's an engineering, then follow the process. So we took out the paper and pen, of course our laptops, started listing what is required for 10 people, what is required for 1,000, then what is required for 10,000 people, and worked out all the cost, contacted some friends, donors, asked for their help, and within 10 days, I still remember June 20th, we took a decision that we get into cooking for 2,000 children every day. See, cooking for 2,000 children itself was a big, it was a huge thing. But that decision was taken that we will cook for 2,000. But when we started looking at the various details, then we realized we can go till 10,000. So the first meal itself was for 10,000 children, 54 schools. And 4 schools, reaching, it's not just cooking.
Government schools you're talking?
They're all government schools. And then when we started, it was 1 to 5th standard. So 1 to 5th standard children of government schools, it is not just cooking, it is cooking and delivering to these schools just before the lunchtime. Within 6 months, they probably that whatever rice sambar what we made, I don't know how it the message spread, and many, literally there was a long queue to our office, and many schools wanted us to cook meal for them. And it is something.
Did you find that after giving this midday meal, did you find that the health of the children improved, that is the nutrition? The second is the number of dropouts that used to be in the government schools improved, and did you see their scholastic performance improve?
Yeah, yes, all the three. Plus their health, all the three parameters improved. Their health improved, their academic performance, it has just improved like anything, exponential growth I can say it as.
Excellent.
And especially in these schools, initially when we were, because we were interacting with these schools quite before we started midday meal. We started our trust in 98 and midday meal started in 2003. We always used to see first 2 months hardly children used to come to school. Literally teachers have to see that they come and the classes start regularly. Otherwise the first week, first 20 days, 1 month attendance was very low. So, but now after the midday meal from day one, it's a full strength. That's one very important thing. When it comes to Bangalore, dropout as such was not there earlier. Children were coming to school, but they were ad hoc. But in places like Kalburgi and Hubli, there is a huge dropout, like children after 6th standard or girls especially used to just leave the school. But
was it all because of, say, menstruation, not proper toilets and things like this, or was there any other reason for it, or nutrition was a reason for it?
Everything. Now there was nothing attracting children. One is like, that's another reason why we started one more program before the meal was Atta Pata. One is, of course, for girls it is for rural areas, this problem that there is no proper toilet and other issues, some were they were not comfortable, they were not given how to tell 3 days, what do they do, and if they miss the class teachers will ask, and so many things, and academically also they don't do better. That's one reason. But when it comes to other things, the schools were a place where there's nothing happening literally. They were not a place of attraction for the children. So, but starting a meal on ours without government support was difficult. We tried doing it, but we can't do it for more schools. One day for one school doesn't bring in a real change. So, we started one program called Atta Pata. Bring in some life in the schools, otherwise it's literally boring. So, we got one bus, and in that bus we had all the playthings, charts, all interesting things. The same lesson we tried teaching children using other methods other than the blackboard. So we made audio cassettes. Those are the days of cassettes before the CDs. So we got our own tape recorder, all these play sticks, all various. Then we one poem is taught through dance, another through drama. Like that, the whole school, the life electrified literally. Yes. So literally they were waiting for our van to come. So it was half day in one school. So we used to cover 12 schools for the whole week, and like that. Yeah. So that was called Atta Pata. So Atta Pata, and then we graduated to Uta. So Atta is play, Pata is learn, and Uta is food. So that's Atta Pata Uta.
So finally, I mean, you tried all methods, but what is even more interesting in the current scenario, Tejaswini, is that not only that you did the kitchen, if I look at the entire scenario here, the kitchen and the toilets are the most neglected areas. I mean, they say, yes, I'll cook, but if you actually go into kitchens, they're pretty dirty. And what happens to all the garbage? Now, currently, I think you must be, cooking for almost lakhs of students, and maybe 3 kitchens or 4 kitchens. So there must be so much of garbage being generated. So how do you manage this garbage? And I was told that you don't have a dustbin in the kitchen, which is again another interesting concept. So I'd like you to sort of explain.
After I started midday meal and after we started cooking big numbers, Bangalore One point of time we were cooking for 72,000 children in Bangalore, 54 children in Rajasthan, Jodhpur, some 50,000 in Hubli. So it's almost 2 lakh children per day, managing everything and all these things. At the same time, I always used to think I am not just a caterer where I cook food and send. The whole thing we started to support the society with regard to their nutrition, the children health, and also create awareness, involve volunteers, involve public in this big social cause. Today in India, 10 crore children come under midday meal program, and we cater to 175,000 children. It's too small, but at the same time we are able to involve the people in the society. The cost per meal for us, for Adamya Chetana, is very less because there is lot of voluntary involvement. I don't spend anything on administration. The entire administration is done by our volunteers. They spend time, they spend their talent, they come with us. Even the food testing, quality, all that is done by volunteers. Some of my volunteers come at 5 a.m. in the morning and spend whole day. So this whole message of involving people, involving the society in any problem of the society is another motto of Adamya Chetana. And especially when it comes to, like you said, the kitchen is one most neglected area. That's why I call it as an engineering. It needs more systematic approach wherein we can prepare hygienic food, and at the same time we don't create problems to the other ecosystem. Normally what we look at when we look at the waste management, and especially 10 years back when even New York Times said Bangalore has become a garbage city. That time my husband, he was 4th time MP of Bangalore, he completed his almost 6-10 years as member of parliament. He said, what is this, why not we look at it, why New York Times says Bangalore as a garbage city? So we started looking at all these things, and when I realized it is one of the biggest problem creator is the waste coming from the kitchen. And when the plastic and the food waste and the other things, when they are mixed together, that's what normally we do, and it creates so many problems because of the wastage coming from the food. And at the same time I started working with gobar gas and other things. I realized the fuel efficiency is better if I feed the gobar gas with kitchen waste, you get more fuel than the cow dung. So these are, as an engineer, I always look at the numbers. That's one, numbers are which I always like. Whatever I do planning, and I look at these numbers, and I realize it's almost 30% more, and we are just throwing the kitchen waste. So when
it's only the combustible kitchen waste, not the wet waste.
It is wet waste actually. This was when we started thinking about this garbage and how do we do. And one more principle which me and my husband, Mr. Ananth Kumar, we always said, whatever we say or whatever we do, we should say it, and whatever we say, we should definitely do it. And we have always followed that. Then how to reduce garbage in Bangalore was the biggest challenge for him as a member of parliament. He said, why don't we experiment this at our home and at our Adamya Chetana's kitchen? Why don't we work on it? And we just started listing what all we used to throw in our dustbin. Then we were throwing around 300 kg of waste. Every day we used to generate 300 kg of waste. I just started listing what is all contained in 300 kg. It was all just vegetable peels, some food that has fallen on the ground which cannot be used, and then the small plastic covers, sachets and some plastic covers. Coconut shell was also a biggest part. These are all we can manage because we don't get any hazardous thing into the kitchen. When we don't get anything hazardous inside, why should hazardous things should go out? Then I said we created place. We worked on all the 3 levels, while purchase, while operation, and while disposal. All these things were made possible. One simple thing is just we removed all the dustbins. So there is nothing as waste. Why should waste generated in the kitchen? So vegetable peels, some of them we use it for our biogas. We have a biogas in the kitchen. And combustible things, actually the coconut shells, we have a smokeless chula. And in fact my coconut shells, what I use in my big kitchen, I saved one LPG cylinder per day. And smoke we treated because it's a smokeless chilla. We used technology and made sure that literally no smoke goes out. They are all simple techniques. I used all simple techniques, gravity as the force, and we came out with simple methodologies where at low cost we can reduce the petroleum fuel, and the most important is garbage was literally
How
made
do you
zero.
take care of that smoke and that soot that comes out?
Yeah, we have simple they call it as scrubbers, mechanical scrubber. The smoke that comes, first we pass it through water. Water is not directly mixed, but we pass it through those water pipes. So we get hot water. So one is we conserve the heat of the smoke. At second level, we mix it with the other kind of water, which is not the edible this thing. So we mix it with the water and then filter the
Strain it
water.
and use that water again.
Use the water again for washing the
Plants and
vessels.
all that.
Washing the
For
vessels.
vessels.
And the water we use for washing the rice, because I use almost 4 tons of rice per day in Bangalore. And the water, that water, which looks like a light milk color water, that water is almost some 6,000 liters. Even back at home, even in my house, after that I saw it there, and even at my house now, I don't throw that water. I have
What do you do with that water?
now in Adamya Chetana, we fill it in a tanker every day. That water goes for the plants which we plant on every Sunday. It was other way around. What do we do with this water? So we initially sending it to various parks. Then we realized anyway there is somebody to water these plants. Why not we water the roadside saplings? Those my other people have planting. So we started watering these plants which we plant on every Sunday. So since last 4 years, now we completed 257 green Sundays. We have not even missed one Sunday. Every Sunday morning, 9 to 11, sometimes it goes till 1 p.m. It's entirely volunteers team. They come and plant trees, and
So how
the
many
water.
volunteers on an average Sunday, and how many trees do you plant?
On a non-COVID time, we used to plant around 100, 120 saplings on Sunday. Around 50, 60 volunteers used to join us. They come on their own. We only send them the address, the location, and make the pits before, and they join. So now the water that comes from the kitchen goes to this pits, and even the starch water that comes out from the rice, preparation of rice, we put it back in sambar. So with regard to the water, no water goes to this thing, so it's like waste. And the vegetable peels are either we convert into compost, coconut shells for masala frying, and nothing. Actually, no waste goes out of the kitchen. Even my house kitchen, I have no dustbin.
You know, one thing, Tejaswini, I've realized that, this is actually practice what you preach. When you're talking about reducing the carbon footprints, the only practical way that you can show children as to what you're doing, you can read any amount of textbooks, because even children, they are reading all this. In fact, my granddaughter also reads, that you must not waste, you must not put garbage here, you must put it in the dustbin. This is a beautiful way of saying that this is how you do gobar gas, and this is a biogas plant, and this is no waste paper basket, and why is there no waste paper basket? And if you actually show them, seeing is believing. And I'm sure, especially a visit to the kitchen is going to make a serious impact on their life. Have you done these visits for children?
Yeah, in fact, we arrange vehicles, some of our donors, some of our supporters, children of our midday meal school, and also the children coming from other affluent schools, we can say it, where the meal is not necessary for them. Midday meal is also not. Even those children come and we tell them, what did you learn with regard to fossil fuels for cooking? the thought has not gone. The fuel for cooking, which today the whole world is dependent on petroleum fuel for cooking. But now I keep telling children, now it is your turn now. You, as when you become scientists, you have to find out the alternate methodology for cooking, because even biogas is not a solution. Even at my home, again I am a LPG dependent house. But it's my dream that one day the whole world, our country and whole world should not depend, cooking should not be on fossil fuels, because cooking is, I always call kitchen as the first university, mother as the first teacher, and the kitchen has to be the first place.
What about all these biscuits and these pellets and all that you were talking about? So for the viewers, let them know what you mean, like alternative fuel.
Like when I said the cooking is an engineering, then it should have that everything supported. So when we normally think of cooking as hygiene, of course kitchen has to be very clean, and we have come out with a methodology that how do we maintain the cleanliness. So that is there, always taught, and we keep talking about it. Of course nutritious food is also very much required, fresh nutritious food, that also we keep talking about. But the one which is less talked is the fuel what we use, the systematic approach in cooking, and also the wastage that is generated. So we try to address these three things as well. So now since last 10 years my kitchen is 100% zero garbage kitchen.